The Ed Bernstein Show. Now, here's Ed.
Well, there is music in the air, and there's plenty of it here in Las Vegas. And here to talk a little bit about where you can find some of this music are Donny Thompson and Naomi Mauro. And a little bit later in the show, I should say, we have Rob Garrett will be here. Neil Diamond kind of guy, who you worked with at years ago, you were telling me.
Well, we did the same impersonator circuit. So in Las Vegas, a lot of the entertainers do the same events, and I happened to be an impersonator at the time, doing Christina Aguilera. So yeah, we've met Rob. I've met Rob many times. Right. Yeah.
Now you're involved in an organization called JOI, which stands for, it's J-O-I, not Y.
J-O-I, yes. Jazz Outreach Initiative.
Jazz Outreach Initiative.
Yes.
Okay, and Donny, is this something that you helped co-create, right?
It was founded by Kenny Rampton, who is a member of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra with Wynton Marsalis in New York City. And he and I actually went to high school together at Bonanza High School, and we're in band together. And so when he went on tour, with Ray Charles, was his first professional gig when he was, I think, 18 or 19 years old. He always wanted to give back to this community. And so when we went to UNLV, we joined up again at UNLV, and then we were joined at that time by Gary Cordell, who's the co-founder. And Gary and Kenny, really, this is their project that they started 6 years ago. I came in the spring of that year, and they were looking for someone to kind of help them from the business aspect of things to kind of develop the nonprofit into a business. And so the three of us has really been together in formulating this organization. I'm proud to say that we're GuideStar Platinum Shield rated charity nonprofit organization. Nationally, only 0.7% of nonprofits achieve that high level of rating with the organization. So we're very proud of the things that we're doing.
And your mission, I mean, the goal of your organization is to
use
foster
jazz as a vehicle to connect the language of music to the language of life through three primary pillars: education, outreach, and of course, performances.
Right, and I think we have some video of one of those performances. Let's take a look.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kitten, a bright copper.
Well, there's a song I may remember the lyrics to.
Right?
Yeah.
Sound of Music.
Yeah. So you do a performance like that. And by the way, I noticed like the people in the band, probably a lot of Las Vegas musicians that work on the Strip that are volunteering, or how does that work?
Well, they're not volunteering. We pay them.
Okay.
It's union scale.
Right.
These are, some of them do some volunteer work with our Las Vegas Youth Jazz Orchestra as mentors. That's how we formulated this band. But these folks have been around. They're the A-list cream of the crop. In fact, we did a concert last year where John Katchalamides came in from the RJ and helped us do a presentation for one of our Jazz Roots programs. And he looked at the band and he said, "Is there anything else happening in town? They must all be shut down because all the best musicians are on this stage right now." But it's a fantastic band, and we have a residency at Notoriety down on Fremont Street. So the old days, if you've been around a long time like I have, you might remember the Four Queens had a jazz night. It was simulcast on KNPR, and most of these folks were in that band. And so when we were looking for a place to sort of call home, we thought, why not bring jazz back to downtown Las Vegas? And so first and third Wednesdays of every month, you can see this band. And then we have bigger concerts that we do that are really formulated around the band and local composers that we feature and so forth throughout the rest of the year at other venues.
That's terrific. And Naomi, I mean, part of what you do, I mean, you jumped from an impersonator to
Yes.
a
Well, I've always had a
Jazz?
jazz background. My father was a jazz guitar player. I have a degree in jazz studies, so that was always a focus of my career. Of course, in Las Vegas, you do whatever the gig requires, right? So, but I'm very fortunate to have met Donny in this organization. I've had the pleasure of performing with the group, and now with the JOI youth group, my kids can be involved in it, and they can get a background in the music that is so dear to my heart. So,
I think we have a little video with you and your kids.
oh, okay.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Found a dream that I can stick to, a dream that I call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill I've never known. It's then the spell was
I mean, that's beautiful. So you afford that's your daughter.
That is my daughter, Amelia, and the boy who was standing up doing the solo, that's my son, Gino. And they just joined the group this year. This is their first semester with the group. It's been an amazing experience for both of them and for all these kids. I mean, they start as young as middle school, 11, 12 years old, and they get to work with some of the best professional mentors out there.
So if somebody wants information on how they can get their child into the program, they would reach on the website.
Yeah, they can go to jazzoutreachinitiative.org or joi-lv.org. Or if they're really interested, this summer we actually have a free summer program called Jammin' with Joy. We have information on the website as well for that. And that one's very loose and free, and we have professional mentors that are coming in to help with that as well. And there's no roll call or anything. Just come on in on Wednesday from 5 to 6:30 throughout the whole summertime. Bring a friend, if they want to have friends from their band programs or something, come on in. And those are really great for jazz exploration studies. I'll tell you just a brief story. There was one student that came in last summer, which is our launch summer for this Jammin' with Joy program. And he was really nervous and he had never played jazz before. So he went 3 weeks without playing almost a note. And finally, Gary Cordell, who's also a trumpet player here in town, sat down with them, and they were just doing C-Jam blues, and he said, just play a B flat with me. Da, da. And he was like, I'm soloing. And next thing you know, his mom called us and said, I can't get him to stop practicing. He won't come out for dinner because he's loving what he's doing. And now, of course, he's in the Las Vegas Youth Jazz Orchestra. And anytime we want a solo, he raises his hand. So I mean, it's life-changing. It's so profound watching what this music does for these kids.
Well, having confidence is a big step.
Yeah.
When your kids are very talented,
thank you.
And obviously grew up in a house where there's a lot of music. And your husband is a chef, and I should mention that. Don't you sing over at the restaurant?
Yeah. So our restaurant is called Manzu Italian Oven. It's on Flamingo and Jones. And we do have jazz nights Fridays and Saturdays, and I do sing there once a month typically.
Right.
But we have all sorts of artists from around the community: Tasha Camo, Laura Schaefer, Bill King, great trumpet player. So yeah, we're always trying to integrate music into our restaurant. And we were fortunate enough to host one of the JOI fundraising events last year, which is where I got to meet a lot of the organizational people that make the group work.
And my wife and I will be there to see you tonight.
Yes, I am singing there tonight.
And we have a sneak preview on the video.
Oh, you do?
Yes, let's take a look.
You sure on your guard? There's such temptation. One thing leads to another. Too late to move on.
That's got to be amazing, singing in front of an orchestra like that.
I love it. I feel like it just takes you right back to the 40s and 50s where that music was so prominent, and it's such a great energy, and I adore it. Yeah.
And Donny, you've compiled some really wonderful, performers and music into a CD that this is something you're selling to fundraise?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%
Okay.
of the proceeds from this album go to our various programs. that we
Joy
have for
Jazz
students.
Orchestra.
The Joy Jazz Orchestra. And how many times do you do a debut album where you call up Wynton Marsalis and he says, sure, I'll do it for free. Right. So you got Wynton Marsalis on this album. Clint Holmes, who's a legend here in town, of course.
Right, sure.
And Kenny Rampton from Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. And, you mentioned 40s and 30s and 40s music. There's some of that on there, but our focus with this band is to hone in on local composers. And there's some really outstanding music on here, original pieces of music that are getting a lot of airplay on Sirius XM Jazz. And of course, you can download this on all major platforms and download it on our website as well as if you want the liner notes like I like, you can buy the CD.
Wow. And we talked a little bit before the show about just the music scene in Las Vegas in general. And it seems to me that jazz is becoming much more popular again, or it's kind of like a reintroduction here in Las Vegas. Like some of the music that you were performing, Naomi, you go into a showroom, 30, 40 years ago in Las Vegas, you're going to see a band like that, and Sinatra or a Dean Martin or somebody singing that kind of music. Then it kind of, we kind of lost that, and the genre of music changed. But now I'm looking around town, and there's so many new venues. You mentioned Notoriety on Fremont Street, which has all kinds of music, jazz, comedy shows, whatnot. But you also have Myron's at Smith Center, that sushi and jazz place. I forget the name of. Yeah, Manzu, your restaurant, the Alexis Park. I mean, it goes. It goes on and on and on. So why is that happening now?
You want to answer that?
When you're stuck inside for 2 years and all you're hearing is your heartbeat, and you have a chance to go someplace to hear a wonderful big band and you can feel your heart beat again, right? I think people want to go out and experience something that makes them feel good. And jazz is a great unifier. I don't know if you probably agree with this. I'm sure that jazz is probably, in my opinion, the most democratic form of art there is. It's truly American. It engages tolerance. People are working together. There's collegiality. There's collaboration happening in real time. If you look at the drummer and the bass player, there's a language happening there where the tempo isn't set like a metronome. It gives and flows depending on how they work together, and then the band listens to each other. And there's no metronomes on stage. There's no tuning devices on stage. Right. The Jazz at Lincoln Center, who of course we're a part of, they have a saying in their band that if you think the person next to you is out of tune, you're out of tune because you're not listening and adapting, right? Yeah. And so it's something that, because there's so much built into it, if you go, it's like when you go to a hockey game, it's different than when you're watching it on TV. You can see what's happening and really be a part of that. When you go to a live jazz performance, there's something I think that happens within you, the listener, that you can participate in that joy, if you will.
Yeah, and look, I mean, just being in the presence of an orchestra like that just lifts you, and of course, a voice
it's a
like
very
yours.
creative, organic art form.
Well, thank you so much, Donny, Naomi. If you want more information, Jazz Outreach Initiative, hey, give it a call. I mean, this is a great thing, not only for kids, but for adults. You strip musicians when they get back involved. We'll be right back with Rob Garrett, the Neil Diamond guy.
I'll buy you the swellest mansion on up Fifth Avenue, and you're on your go strutting, real strutting, and there'll be nothing too good for you.
So I was in a really bad car accident, head-on collision. So I immediately thought of Ed. Ed is tenacious. He cares about his clients, and he cares about the results of the case.
Hi, I'm Ed Bernstein. If you've been injured on the job or on the road, call me.
One of the most pleasurable music experiences in Las Vegas is listening to Rob Garrett perform as Neil Diamond, particularly now when Neil Diamond is, just not available,
Retired,
right?
yeah.
Retired,
Yeah.
right? How long have you been doing this Neil Diamond?
This is my 28th year when I started with Legends of Concert in '95. Yeah.
But you didn't start singing Neil Diamond, right? I mean, you had your own group. I mean, you spent a lot of years doing music and traveling and touring. And then when you came to Las Vegas, you kind of made a change.
74.
Yeah.
74. Yeah. You came in '76. You were just telling me.
Yeah. We're talking about the old days, but
That's right. They are.
and we're also just talking about the last time that Neil Diamond performed.
Neil Diamond opened the Aladdin Theater for the Performing Arts, and that was a big deal because it was July.
Planet Hollywood now.
What's that?
Planet Hollywood now.
Correct,
right?
and
Right, yeah.
Zappos,
Zappos,
yeah.
right.
But it was bigger then. It was 7,500 people. Vegas didn't have anything like
And
that.
it was a beautiful theater. It's
Beautiful,
state of the art.
State of the art.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything like that,
Right.
and they paid them stupid money, more than anyone, more than Elvis, more than Sinatra, to do, which was supposed to be 3 concerts, and they sold out like that because he never played here, and he ended up doing 5 at 7,500 a pop. Back then, that was a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's an amazing talent.
He's
But
one of
quite
our
honestly, there's
kind.
times I can't tell the difference between you and he.
Oh,
Do
okay,
we-
that's.
Did you bring any sample of your music here?
I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Do we have something that we can put up and play?
We went around the world. They're coming to America. Every time that flag's unfurled, they're coming to America. Got a dream to take them there. They're coming to America. Got a dream they come to share. They're coming to America. Everybody, stand up for America. Come on. Stand up for America. Stand up for America. Stand up for America today. Come on, sing it with me. Today.
It's just amazing. I mean, it's just like watching him. But as he got older, and his music did change a little bit over the years. I mean, we all age,
True.
becomes different. So, how, in your line of work, how do you make changes yourself physically, or how you look, or how you sing as Neil Diamond aged?
I mean, I'm still trying to recreate that '80s, the as you saw the blingy shirts, and because that's his signature. I imagine at one point, as he aged, the big hair left, but this look is the signature Neil Diamond. I imagine at one point.
I mean, it's like the Elvis thing. People like to say, well, hey, is that the young Elvis or the old Elvis, right?
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
Neil Diamond doesn't quite have that problem because his man looks like he stayed in shape his whole life.
Neil Diamond never got what we would refer to as heavy.
Right.
I mean, he was always relatively in good shape. And but I don't do the Neil Diamond. If you remember from years ago, the '70s, at one time he had. If you look at that Hot August Night album, he's got hair past his shoulders,
Right.
really long hair. But I'm doing, and I think most tribute acts try if they can, to do the signature look of the character they're doing.
Right.
Sooner or later, I'm going to have to go into that. Hopefully, it's later.
Well, look,
The old Neil Diamond look.
you had a lot of forces coming together. Not only you have the talent to sing like him and look like him, you have the hair like him. I mean, you luck, right? And it all came together.
And you're right. And thank you. And I'm lucky in that aspect where this is all real, so I can still do that Neil Diamond.
Where are you performing at now?
I just started. I say it just. It's actually going on 2 months. It flew by like that at Alexis Park.
Right.
I started a residency there, and
There's a lot of music going on in Alexis Park.
yeah, there's 2 showrooms. Like I didn't even know, when they approached me, and there's the Pegasus, and I forgot the name of the other one, but I'm in the Pegasus showroom. They're called the modern showrooms.
Right.
And then I'm going to be at the Suncoast in their main showroom, and that was booked before my residency, so
Right.
they have to honor it. And July 1st is July 4th weekend, which is obviously very perfect for a Neil Diamond act because it's
America.
and he was there. Like we're talking '76.
Right.
And it was our bicentennial. That's when he opened the Atlanta. Actually, July 2nd he opened it.
And the Alexis Park, I mean, look, it's a great music venue. I mean, in that you can go to the Alexis Park any night and catch whether it's you or
Correct.
jazz
7
or,
nights. 7
or,
nights. a week. They have like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 or 6 acts.
right.
So and I do 4. They just changed me, by the way, to, from used to be Monday to Thursday, but now it's Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday.
Is your audience local or tourist?
Mostly tourist.
Uh-huh.
I would say 85% tourists and 15% local.
I know I've asked you this before, and I'm sure everybody asks you this question.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, have you ever met Neil Diamond? And you really haven't,
I haven't.
right? I mean, but he knows of you, and
Because
Yeah.
his drummer for many, many years was Ron Tutt, who was the very famous drummer because he was Elvis's drummer too. During all those concert years, same guy. And his daughter, for about 3 years, was one of my backup singers. So she brought me to his attention, and he made Neil. So Neil's been, it made Neil aware of what I do. And Neil's been fully aware of what I've been doing for a long, long time.
what was the big break in Neil Diamond's life?
His big break was when Illy Greenwich and Jeff Berry in the Brill Building told him to stop writing stuff for other people, which he was not really successful as the other people in the building. They said, start singing your own stuff. Your stuff is personal. Start singing it. And so then they produced him. And he did Solitary Man, Cherry Cherry. He wrote I'm a Believer for the Monkees. He didn't write it for them. He wrote it for him. But they ended up making it the biggest hit of the '67, the whole year, '67. So that was the beginning of Neil Diamond in '66. He never looked back after that.
Right, and what do you consider what's his biggest hit? What's your most
Well,
requested song?
There's 2 answers to that because you have to ask me what's his biggest hit and what's his most popular hit.
Okay, biggest being most successful financially.
His biggest financially is probably, You Don't Bring Me Flowers. Well, okay, by today's standards, is Sweet Caroline.
Right, Sweet Caroline.
Yeah.
Every hockey game we play that, right?
And Fenway Park, where it started. So if we're going from what it sold from '69 to now, it's definitely, it would be the answer to both questions. The most,
Right.
it's
Sweet
also the most
Caroline.
requested. And America would be too.
Yeah, and of course he eventually got into movies, right? Have you ever been approached about, hey, can you play Neil Diamond in a movie?
By the way, there's a Broadway show on his life.
No.
Yeah, very successful one that started. It started in Boston last July, and I went to see the premiere. It premiered for 6 weeks in Boston. It's called A Beautiful Noise, and then it went to Broadway. So I saw it in Boston, and when it was coming out, it was a lot of news, and people said you should audition. And I said, no, I should not. I am not an actor. I'm a musician who knows enough to act like him, but you're not going to give me a script and I'm going to be able.
But Neil Diamond was able to do that. He was able to segue in from a musician, writer, singer to actor.
And it took him a long time to do it. Like he was almost 40 when he made The Jazz Singer.
Right.
He had all kinds of opportunities to do it. And whereas the movie was successful and the soundtrack went triple platinum, the critics tore him to pieces. The critics just tore him apart. And he's a sensitive kind of guy, so he never made another movie after that, except for appearing in movies as himself.
How sad is it that some of these, iconic entertainers have either passed, gotten old, gotten sick. Just not around anymore.
I never saw that one coming. Yeah. I saw him 17 times. I expecting to see him another 17 times, And I think that just hit that I think any Neil Diamond fan had hit us hard. You know, that all of us, he didn't get the opportunity to say, like, I'm going to do a goodbye tour.
Yeah, like people talk about LeBron James or somebody. Hey, you know, hey, he's going to retire from the NBA. Well, he's going to do his goodbye tour. Elton John was recently this summer or this spring.
A goodbye tour.
Yeah, were you there at the Elton John concert at the Allegiant?
I saw him. I saw him
because he said this is my goodbye.
No, it is. It is. Yeah. I mean, but he announced it before he did it. He announced it to the news. I'm doing it, and Cher's done it like 6 times, but I think she's done. But Neil never had that opportunity.
Yeah, you can catch Rob over at the Alexis Park. Would you say Fridays and Sundays? And
Monday, Tuesday at 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and the Sun Coast.
And the Sun Coast, over July 4th weekend, he'll be at the Sun Coast.
Yeah. Looking forward to that one.
Hey, unbelievable talent.
Thank you.
Rob Garrett.
The qualities that I look for in an attorney are loyalty, honesty, and integrity. And I found that in Edward M. Bernstein.
If you've been injured, call me, Ed Bernstein.